Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast, traders. We have seen some crazy moves this past week due to Trump's tariffs announcements. And on the weekly chart, looking at the US dollar here first, we did drop down. We almost contacted this area of support, this purple box here. We ended up pushing back up, so we have seen some strength at the end of the week. Ultimately, like I said, I don't care what the news is saying. I'm expecting the DXY to push down below 100 over the next couple months. That is what I am predicting to happen based off of my analysis that I am seeing. So no matter what is happening, in the tariff world or whatever, look at the downward trend. We clearly have downward momentum, downward trend. Looking at the daily chart, looking at the higher time frames, everything is trending down. If you just look at this as a technical perspective, doesn't matter what Trump says, price is trending down. Yes, we have had a green candle to the upside on Friday here, but ultimately we are trending down. Now on the 1 hour time frame, we had nice momentum to the downside. That momentum was broken when we broke this high, giving us some sort of upper momentum to the upside. So I would say momentum in the short run could continue to go up in the dollar. I think we will hesitate at this little gap supply zone at 103.67. I think we could see a move off of that supply zone there on the 4 hour time frame, or sorry, on the 1 hour time frame. Now in the 4 hour chart, we did react off of 4 hour demand from way back here. Not really anything I would have been predicting to happen. It's just a demand zone that we've had, and the 4 hour supply above, I've been pointing out since last week, it's still decent. There's still some sort of resistance right before, which is what I like to see. So even if we do continue to push up, we have a little hidden 4 hour base drop supply at 104.95 that we could see a move off of to the downside. So temporarily, I think we are seeing some US dollar strength. I don't know if anybody has ever heard the term a dead cat bounce, right? Obviously with the tariff stuff, the dollar was tanking. Now we are bouncing to the upside. It could just be a temporary bounce, or maybe we're pulling up to like the 104.95 area to the 4 hour supply again to see what could happen around that 4 hour supply. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think we are going to continue to go lower. Whether or not we see a week of strength in the US dollar, ultimately, I think we are headed down. In the meantime, we're going to have to monitor some 4 hour supplies, 1 hour supply zones, and even daily supply zones to see what is going to happen on the DXY. All right, on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. We were pointing out this daily demand from so long ago. I was really hoping we could pull back into it, but it looks like we bottomed out here, and now we are at this area of resistance, which I like to see. We've pretty much reacted off of it already. So I think we easily will be targeting this resistance. I'm expecting that liquidity there to be targeted. So I'm expecting price to continue to go up here on the Euro US dollar. Now, to continue with our top-down approach, we do have a daily demand zone down below. I'm just drawing it on our charts right now because it just removed this opposing area of supply. It was a significant supply zone from back here. Now, I like this daily trend. This daily trend is signaling to me, hey, I think we should be looking for longs as long as this daily upper trend line is continuing. Now, I'm not in love with this daily demand, I'll be honest with you. I do like the initial move. I like the basing. I don't like that we pull back so aggressively. But I will say, as long as this trend line's holding, I think longs are going to be perfect on the Euro US dollar. Even if, let's say, we respect the trend line, break the trend line, that's fine. We then want to wait for that daily demand at 1.08 to be hit, to then look for a long trade. And if you guys are enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. I do these forecasts every single week, and a huge thanks to everybody for continuing to watch the videos as we just did the biggest donation to hospice ever, $95, the biggest donation we've done on the channel so far. So thanks to you guys, because all ad revenue from these videos is donated to my local hospice. So thanks again, guys. Hit that like button and subscribe. So going down to the 4 hour time frame, we're pretty much going to ignore the 1 hour chart. I would agree momentum is to the downside, but there's really not much to go off of here. It's pretty much looking at the weekly, right, to see if we can target the liquidity. And then the daily chart, we're looking at the trend line to the upside and the daily demand. And on the 4 hour chart, we have a very nice upper trend line here as well. So upper trend line's holding. We do have a 4 hour demand zone, a kind of a little hidden rally base, or rally demand zone. Look at the strength of that move away. Absolutely picture perfect. We've already seen a move off this demand zone. So at this point, with the 4 hour demand in control, I think looking for longs on a 15-minute or even a 5-minute chart is going to be good. And as long as this trend line's holding, same thing applies. 15-minute, 5-minute time frame day trade longs are good. So we are definitely monitoring this trade right now, monitoring the upper trend line on the euro. Anything can happen, guys. The markets are very volatile right now. It's been pretty crazy. So if you have lost some money, even myself, guys, I've been trading for 5 years, forecasting for 5 years. I had a pretty big drawdown after this whole Trump thing, and it's fine. I'm just going to continue to move on, continue to trade the way I do, and just be a little bit careful out there, right? This zone's looking great. It's picture perfect, but boom, we could see a move like that based off of the conditions of the markets we're in right now. So that could happen. Don't let it get to your head. Continue to have stop losses on all of your trades. So we are monitoring this 4-hour demand. Day trading longs are fine to monitor that trend line. It is longs all the way here on the euro US dollar, and even if we break that 4-hour demand, that is fine. We have the daily demand down below where we can, it's kind of like our backstop, our safety net. And then, you know, if the daily demand breaks and the upper trend line and the daily chart breaks, then okay, maybe I was wrong. We're not going to target that liquidity, and maybe we're going down to weekly demand. On to the forecast for gold. Everybody's been talking about gold. Oh, it's tanking, it's tanking. Well, I mean, look at this. Is it really tanking? To me, tanking would look something like this with a massive red candle. Could we get that over the next couple weeks? Sure, but I wouldn't really say that gold is tanking. Are we getting a pullback? Absolutely. Have demand zones been removed? Yes. On the 1-hour chart, we have a 1-hour downward trend line right now. A 1-hour downward trend looking really, really weak as far as this time frame goes. So what I will say is, if you are a day trader, if you're a swing trader, ignore this. But if you're a day trader, I would be looking, you could definitely look for shorts on a 5-minute chart, as long as this 1-hour downward trend line is being respected. Now, it's very risky, right? Because the higher time frame trends look like this, and it's really not looking weak at all as far as the daily chart goes and the weekly chart goes. So we have to be very cautious. If you are going to trade short this downward trend line, I would be looking for quick take profits, 1-to-1, 2-to-1. You know, looking for a 5-to-1 in a counter trend market like that could be a little bit risky. If we do get a pullback up to this supply zone at 31.10, we could maybe see a small move off of it before breaking up to the upside. So if you want to get, you know, a small short trade right there before the push up, you could do that. But for me personally, as a swing trader, I want to be trading with that trend. So what I'd be waiting for longs, we need to wait for that 1-hour supply to be removed. If we have a new 1-hour demand zone there, that would be our trading setup right there. So that's what I want to be looking for longs on gold, waiting for that 1-hour supply to be removed. But if you're bearish, you could use it as a quick little day trade or a quick little trade, maybe even look for confirmation in there, and then monitor the 1-hour downward trend line as well for the shorts. And then on the daily chart here, yes, we are getting a deeper pullback. I really don't see any high quality demand here. The only demand zone I'm seeing on the daily chart is this little single candle rally-based rally at 29.40. So we could definitely hesitate around this upward trend line. Let me make that very clear. We have to be monitoring that trend line. As long as that trend line's holding, I would say longs all the way, guys. Yes, I did point out the short trades, but like I told you, it's more for a quick little 1-to-1, 2-to-1 trade. A trade down here at this daily demand, you know, we could get a massive move. If you just look at the entire daily zone right here, let's just say we took the whole daily zone, which nobody really enters on a daily chart, you're looking at over a 5-to-1 to the opposing recent high. Now, let's say you get in on a 1-hour demand zone inside of here, right? You get a little confirmation trade. That 5-to-1 could easily turn into a 10-to-1 trade, and that's the beauty of trading with the trend. You can always take counter trend trades, but they don't offer as much risk reward like a trade like this goes. So if we do really start to see gold really pull back, we have to get through this daily demand for me to really be bearish. We have to see some sort of move like this, where not only do we break the upper trend line, we break the demand, create a 1-hour downward trend line, then I'm going to be bearish gold, super bearish. But for now, I'm definitely remaining bullish on gold. And like I said, it's pretty much all revolving around the 1-hour time frame, the 1-hour supply, and the downward trend line to see if it can hold. And yes, you could look for the day trading shorts in there. So it's all revolving on the 1-hour chart and the daily chart to see what happens at those zones and the downward trend lines. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the USDJPY. This weekly chart's not really giving us a lot of information. We are pretty much going sideways. We had an upper trend on the weekly. Trend was broken. We created some sort of support down here. So I think we could be targeting that. There's definitely liquidity down here with a little demand, but that'll be for another video. But ultimately, this is looking similar to the weekly time frame and the DXY as far as the weekly support area goes with the liquidity below. So I think we could be continuing to push down here on the USDJPY. And this past week, we did, obviously with the DXY just completely tanking due to Trump's tariff announcements. Remember, this is not a political channel at all. We don't discuss politics at all. But due to that, the weekly chart the daily chart gave us a daily downward trend line by removing this low. So really good looking daily downward trend line, definitely signaling weakness to me. I pointed out this daily demand from so long ago. This was created back in September 2024. It's a fresh zone, right? You can see this, it hasn't been tested at all. And I think that's where we will hesitate. I'll be shocked if a crazy news event comes out and we tank. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But if nothing crazy happens, I would be shocked if price breaks this daily demand. I'm not saying that we won't break the daily demand, but if I think we'll at least get some sort of move like this from basically what I think is going to happen. Price will push down to this daily demand at 143.95. We will probably react off the daily demand to push up to test the trend line again, and then maybe respect the trend line and break it eventually. I'm just saying there is money to be made in this move. It is counter trend, but it is a very, very good daily demand zone based off of just looking at it, right? We have a nice drop, decent basing, and a decent move away. Overall good move away as well. So it is looking really good as far as that daily zone goes. With the daily downward trend line, we could push down to it easily, and I think we will see maybe a small move off of it. So we could get a quick little counter trend trade to the downside. And in the meantime, how do we trade this? Well, you really just want to be looking for shorts on the day trading time frames. Even on the 4-hour chart, we have a 4-hour downward trend line. Not my favorite trend line, but to me, all signs are pointing to the downside. It is shorts all the way. Now, we had this 1-hour supply right here. Now, if you look in the Discord group, one of the members pointed out this 1-hour supply. They asked me, how did I feel about the supply? And honestly, I like I said, it wasn't that great. Not my favorite supply zone. To me, it just kind of looks like one of those pivot supplies where it's just kind of at the peak of the move. Not only that, it's kind of a reaction off of all this over here. So it's really just kind of a resistance and kind of just a sideways action there. I really don't like it. I like that it removed demand. I like the initial move away, but it just didn't. It looked to me like it was going to break. I guess it's hard for me to explain, but just not the greatest move away. Yes, the initial move away was good, but we immediately pushed back into it, and that is why it broke, in my opinion. And like I said, that screenshot was from the Discord group for the members. If you want to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership for exclusive access to our daily market breakdown videos and catch trades like these. Plus, dive deep with our full-length forecast covering 26 plus markets, our interactive Sunday Zoom sessions, and personal homework to sharpen your strategy. And you'll also join our private Discord group for direct access to me and unlock a complete library of A to Z video lessons to master supply and demand trading. Don't miss out. Let's level up your trading. Links in the description down below. So now on the 1-hour chart in the USDJPY, this 1-hour demand removed this 1-hour supply. Kind of the same thing here. I'm not really in love with this 1-hour demand. Not only is it against the daily trend that we were just talking about, it's just not a great zone. The move away isn't that good. So if you want to look for confirmation longs in here, that would be fine. To just take this whole trade with an entry, stop loss, and take profit above, it's risky because it's counter trend to the daily time frame, right? Could it work? Absolutely. So it could be a trade you want to take. Me personally, if I don't day trade, but if I wasn't to trade this at all, what I would be doing is waiting for this demand zone to be hit. Then I would go to a 5-minute time frame or a 1-minute time frame and look for confirmation on those time frames inside of that 1-hour zone to confirm our entry. And that's what I would have been doing at this supply as well, instead of just taking the entire zone, because it's not that great. And again, it is counter trend, which makes me a little bit nervous as well. So you could be for longs, really, we're just waiting for this demand zone to be hit. You could look for confirmation there if you want. That is the only potential long trade that I am seeing at this time. For shorts, we have two options. And again, shorts are preferred with the daily downward trend. We do have the 1-hour supply above. We could see a move off of that supply at 149.92. If we get the pullback, I'm not saying we are going to push up to there. I'm just saying if we do, that is really the only 1-hour supply I'm seeing. And then our second option for shorts is we need to wait for this demand to be removed, preferably this low of price as well. And if we have a high quality 1-hour supplies on there, we certainly could look for shorts off of that 1-hour supply. And that will be a zone that I have for the members on my chart link, which is what you get when you become a member as well. And even if we do pull into this 1-hour demand, in the daily market breakdown videos, which are the forecasts I release every day for all the members, we are going to be looking for day trading confirmation in there. We're going to go down to a 5-minute chart and look for a confirmation trade if we do get a pullback into that 1-hour demand. So make sure you join the group if you want my forecast throughout the week. On to the forecast for the GBPUSD. We've been talking about this weekly supply for so long, and look at this weekly chart here. If we ignore this huge wick, which is what I am going to do, this weekly supply is still being respected. I am not going to get into detail into supply and demand theory here, but I am saying in my opinion, this weekly supply is still holding. I don't consider this removed. It's just we all know what happened on Friday or Thursday or whenever it was with the Trump tariff stuff. So I'm basically disregarding that as, just some crazy price action. So in my opinion, this weekly supply is still holding, and we could easily push down off of this weekly supply. So how do we trade that? Well, on the 4-hour chart, we had a 4-hour upward trend line from all the way back here. This upward trend line was removed, and we have basically now 2 areas of supply on our charts. And I'm actually going to tighten this one up just a little bit. So we have a level on top of level here. Weird looking supplies on here, but I'm not going to get detail while I'm drawing it like that. But these supply zones not only remove demand, but also an upward trend line. So you're looking at our 2 4-hour confirmation trades right here. And I'll be honest with you, I am not in love with them at all. I would have preferred to see one nice typation like this and a massive move down. We did not get that. So at the end of the day, these are our 2 confirmation trading setups coming off of the weekly supply. And it's really that simple. And again, if you don't feel comfortable trading them, which, I mean, in my opinion, I don't really feel too comfortable trading them at all, based off of it's just like the initial moves are great, but it's just weird looking zones. And actually, I am going to change this one back to this now that I'm looking at it again. Sometimes I need to have a second look. So a couple good zones here. The best thing to do with a level on top of level in this situation is just like I was talking about on the yen as well. You could be looking for confirmation, and I would be doing it on a 50-minute chart. So you could be waiting for these zones to be hit, looking for a 50-minute day trading confirmation in these zones. You could basically take both the trades, right? Maybe you take this trade, it loses. You take this one, it's a winner. But maybe if you look for a 3-to-1, you're up 2%. So you could let your risk reward play out in the long run. You could just take this one. You could just take this one. You could look for confirmation in these as well on day trading timeframes on both. That's fine. Whatever you want to do. I'm not saying there's one way to do it or not. I'm just pointing out the supply zones. And technically, like I said, the weekly supply is in control, and we removed an upper trend line and demand. So these are our 2 4-hour confirmation zones as we come off of the supply zone on the weekly time frame. Now, on the 1-hour chart, the 1-hour supply is kind of standing out, and this 1-hour supply is in the higher 4-hour supply. So this 1-hour supply is inside of that 4-hour supply. It is certainly a decent supply. We could see a move off of there on the GBPUSD, but if you want to be careful, I'd be more focused on the 4-hour time frames. On to the forecast for the USDCAD. This is the country that I was born in and I'm still living in. Let me know what country you guys are from. On the daily chart, we removed this low this past week, and we have a very nice daily downward trend. So it is looking really, really weak here on the USDCAD. It is shorts all the way. We certainly want to monitor that daily downward trend line. Absolutely. Definitely want to have that on your charts to monitor. In the meantime, we have a 4-hour supply that is currently in control. Not my favorite supply zone. I will say I love the initial move away. I love that it removed demand. What I don't like about this one is the basing. I don't like a big wick like that in the basing. But at the end of the day, the trends are to the downside. The 4-hour chart, the daily trend is down. So it's really shorts all the way. And with the 4-hour supply in control, we certainly could see a move to maybe target this pivot low. So it is certainly a zone you could be looking for short trades off of. And again, it's already in control. So you might have already missed the trade. If you want to not chase price, you could be looking for a 15-minute time frame short confirmation trade. So now we have a 4-hour supply in control. That could be viewed as your higher time frame, which means 15-minute time frame and even 5-minute time frame shorts are going to be good. And I would be sticking to these short trades. Now let's say we push up, break the supply. If there's a 4-hour demand zone there, we certainly could be looking for longs off that 4-hour demand zone. And that is pretty much it as far as the USDCAD goes. So really, all going to revolve around that 4-hour supply. If it's holding, shorts are good. If we remove it and we have a new 4-hour demand, then we could look for a potential counter trade long setup here on the USDCAD. All right, on to the forecast for the AUDUSD, the Aussie US dollar. If you look at my 4-chart layout, this thing is in free fall mode. This is one of the worst pairs affected from all that Trump stuff going on. And if you just look at the daily and the weekly chart, trends are to the downside. All signs are pointing to the downside here on the Aussie US dollar. So could it be tempting to, catch a falling knife and get a potential kind of trend trade? Sure, it absolutely can. I'm not really seeing any of those setups forming right now. All I will say is it's shorts on all time frames, whatever you like to trade, whether it's a 1-minute chart or a 1-hour chart or a 4-hour time frame. It is shorts all the way. We have a couple 4-hour supply zones that's going to be the focus of our Aussie US dollar forecast here. if we push up to this 4-hour supply, this initial one, it's a decent little drop, base drop, hidden supply zone at 0.620. We certainly could see a move off that supply. If not, the origin of the move is above. So a couple good supply zones here. And it's another level on top of level situation. And in these situations, people ask, which one do I take? Honestly, it's difficult to tell. I don't really have any data on that. What I would do personally here is I would just take both. And if this one loses and this one works, perfect. I'm up 2% or whatever risk reward you like. If both of them lose, then I'm down 2%. Whatever. I'll make it up in other trades. So I really don't think about that. And honestly, I would just be looking for the trades. So it's shorts all the way. In the meantime, if we don't get a pullback up to these supply zones, that's fine. The day trading shorts are going to be good. Like I said, on anywhere between a 15-minute down to even a 1-minute chart, I would be looking for shorts. And even inside these 4-hour supply zones, you could be kind of confirming your entry as well on the day trading time frame. So I'd just be more focused on the 4-hour supply zones there on the AUD/USD. All right, on to the forecast for the USDCHF. The sideways price action is very, very visible here. If you just look, we are just in a range on a weekly chart, so it's not the highest odds to be trading. There's absolutely no demand down here. You know, was there demand in the sense where price pushed down and rallied off of it multiple times? Yes, but as far as the nature and the rules of what a supply and demand zone really is, there is no demand zone down here, and we go into detail on this in the supply and demand trading PDF. Now, this PDF document is a full course on supply and demand trading and what it actually is. And I have a whole video on that on my YouTube channel that I just released as well. So highly recommend checking that out to learn what real supply and demand is. This is not demand down here as far as the demand zone goes. So as far as the daily chart goes, we have all signs pointing to the downside. We have really so many supply zones up here that it's difficult to really talk about them. So the nearest one is at this daily supply at 0.879. I do much prefer the one above though. So I'd almost would ignore this one and focus on the two above it, kind of a resistance trap as well. So if we do get, I know this is a daily chart, guys, and it's such a large move we'd have to see, but I feel like I have to point out these two supply zones. Could we see a small move off this one? Sure. But I do prefer the two ones above. In the meantime, you could be shorting as well. And this one looks very, very similar to the Aussie US dollar as well, where we have the kind of the two level on top of level 4-hour supply zones above. So the same thing kind of applies here. Could look for shorts off of any one of these 4-hour supply zones. And like I said, there's so many ways to be trading it, right? You could be looking for confirmation on day trading timeframes in there. You could just pick this one. You could just pick this one. You could not take this one and just take that one. Whatever you want to do. It's something you have to back test to on the weekends, guys. Which one works better? Or maybe just take both, like what I would do. So pretty much the same thing as the Aussie US dollar here goes, guys, on the USD Swiss. The two 4-hour supply zones. And what I really hope we can get is a pullback all the way up to the daily supply. That's where the high odds trading is going to be taking place, in my opinion, here on the USDCHF. All right, last but not least, we are on to crude oil, and we finally have removed this weekly demand. This weekly demand was created back in May 2021. We reacted off of it in a few times in 2021, a couple times in 2023, once again in 2024, and 2025. It has finally been removed, yes, and I'm happy it did because it was very tested. Now, maybe we can push down to this fresh area of demand all the way down here at 53.85. Could we see oil prices get down to that level? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I personally think we could see it. All signs are pointing to the downside here. We are removing demand zones on the daily chart, creating supply zones on the daily chart as well. So we definitely want to be monitoring this daily downward trend line and be trading short along with it. If we get a pullback up to supply in the daily chart, we certainly could see a move off that supply zone as well. It's a beautiful rally base drop. Two very hyper aggressive candles on the daily chart here on crude oil. Now those trades are very far away. So how can we trade crude oil for the time being? Well, it does feel like chasing price a little bit, but we do have a nice drop, base drop supply zone. I like the zone at 64.50. Nice tight basing. I like the move away. It removed two opposing demand zones. So a pullback up to that 1-hour supply could be good for shorts. And if you don't feel comfortable with just an entry, stop loss, take profit above, like I always say, you could look for extra day trading confirmation in there to confirm your entry. And I have tons of videos on my channel regarding confirmation trading. So there's no excuses for you to say, I don't know what to do. Go watch my trading tips playlist. So And then we have a couple more options here on the 4-hour chart. We have 3 4-hour supply zones. The closest one is at 66.26. I like that zone. Decent basing, great move away. The one above is a little bit better at 69.62. So could see moves off of these supply zones even above at 71.58. So if you're a day trader, this week, if you're a day trader, you're in luck because there's tons of higher time frame zones to look to trade in on all the pairs, really. So on oil, we actually have decent little 1-hour supply zones set up there and a couple 4-hour supply zones there that we could be looking to trade. But at the end of the day on oil, all signs are pointing to the downside, and I think our next target to the downside really is below $56, down to that little weekly demand zone. And with the weekly and the daily trends of the downside, it is shorts all the way. That's why I loved pointing out these trades that are with the higher time frame trends to the downside. If you want to watch the full-length forecast and get my daily chart analysis and daily market breakdown videos, join the Diamond membership. Links are in the description down below.